a honeybee is a wonderful creature. They're industrious, they are great at building community, they're great communicators, they dance and celebrate, they source beautiful products from nature. We can learn so much from bees.
Most people, they just don't know anything about bees. So they just have no concept of how cool they are, how important they are, what their role is. They're just something that might sting them.
Back a bit, all of a sudden the bees are in their hair, and then, one on the leg, and next thing, everybody's off, me included.
Running.
I jumped in the creek. They headed to the house with bees going up their big skirts, so that was it.
Yeah.
It's completely open at the moment. You think it's full?
I think it's fairly full. Like, my guess is halfway to 3/4. We can take bets on it. Today we're here removing an owl box, which bees have moved into. And so we've got to get the bees out of the owl box and then move that beehive to one of my apiary locations.
I think that's definitely working.
Yeah.
Let's quieten them down a little. I began beekeeping because I had a love of nature and I had a desire to observe nature, and I wanted to have an occupation where I was interacting with natural processes in my daily work.
Do they seem friendly?
They're not friendly.
When I started beekeeping, I actually had just graduated from college with an art degree. I ended up in this office job that I really hated, and I was stuck inside all day and I was kind of chained to the computer. I wanted to be outside, I wanted to be connected with nature, and I started beekeeping just as a hobby, just to save my soul, basically. I'm not the person you picture when you picture a beekeeper. People look at me and they just wouldn't believe that I'm a beekeeper. Especially when I first started, they're just shocked.
We could never know how disruptive this might be for them, but they're amazingly adaptable little creatures. Tomorrow this hive will be probably an operating hive. We'll probably be seeing bees coming and going, and they'll already be out collecting nectar and pollen again.
Today could have been an extermination. These homeowners could have called a pesticide company. They would have sprayed that hive with poison. All the bees would have died, and the comb would have gone into the garbage, and all that wonderful honey and pollen would just be thrown away, and what a waste.
You see how the honeycomb has got the wax cap over top? See that little cover? They put a little lid on it.
Just like a lid on a jar.
Once they've evaporated the moisture off, then they'll cap those cells off, and then from that time on that honey is very, very stable, and it can last for, well, literally thousands of years actually in that state. Now this is a really, really interesting piece here. They are developing larvae.
So you can see that in the middle, there's a patch of older larvae here. So that tells us that when she initially started laying, she laid here. And that made it to maturity and hatched out. And as soon as it did, she laid new eggs. And then these are all eggs right here. Yeah. So you can see that on the edges, they're hatching. There's actually some like freshly hatched cells. And this one's hatching right now, it looks like.
Ah, yes, it is. There's a bee hatching right there. That is wonderful.
So she's ready to come out. She's chewing her way out of the cell, and she'll come out soon as a new adult. After she's out, they'll clean her cell, and then the queen will come back around and she'll lay an egg.
It's a great little system, and she just keeps on doing it. This hive is being deconstructed before their eyes, and they are completely and utterly disorientated because right now all of their comb has been taken away somewhere. In fact, the whole ceiling's covered in bees now, and up there somewhere will be the queen bee. And the reason that they are gathering up there is because the queen is the only thing that's keeping any vestige of their social order together at the moment. So they know that as long as they remain with the queen, then they've still got a leader.
Bees communicate through scent. One of the scents they use is called the alarm pheromone, where they alert each other, hey, we're not safe, we need to put up a defensive attack. And the smoke just blots out that communication, and it keeps them from being able to say to each other, like, we need to sting the beekeeper right now, basically.
They're just getting a little puff. Sorry, girls. Once you get them moving in the right direction, they're away. There they go. Be very, very careful though. They're gonna fall at some point.
So those were all the forager bees who were out getting pollen and nectar. When they came back to their hive, it wasn't there. So they didn't know what to do, so they just clumped up on the pole and on the ladder. So we just carried over the ladder and connected them with this colony so they can start finding their way over here.
I think we're good now. Just cleaning up. Been quite an operation. Takes me back about 50 years actually. My favourite part is just working with these beautiful little creatures again and being able to affect some sort of positive change here where these bees might have been exterminated or something like that. So I think we've provided a little service today to the bees and to nature and to humanity, so that's always good. Beekeeping around the world has become very industrialised, very, very large apiaries that don't necessarily have the bees' best interest in mind. That really disappoints me because I think we're exploiting something so wonderful and something that we should have a much higher degree of honour for.
Beekeeping is this very ancient tradition. We don't even know how far back it goes. We keep finding out it's further and further back. There's this very deep-rooted connection that we have with them, and we've just become too disconnected from our environment. And I think there's a movement to get back to that place of understanding and respect. Yeah, well, I do think there's like a hive mind energy when you're a beekeeper where you say a lot of the same things and you come up with the same ideas sometimes too. And so there's this kind of connective energy between all beekeepers, it feels like. You could pluck us from any part of the world and we have a connection, and in a lot of ways we're really the same.
I feel like I've known this bee all of my life.